It is now 7:08 on Monday, December 13th, 2020. We're going to be beginning the meeting for the Committee on Public Safety. As we are appearing via Zoom, all votes will be via roll call. We do have a few attendees with us tonight. I can see all of you with the exception of Councilor Ryan, so just raising your hand if you have something to say at that point. But Clerk Semino, can you please have a roll call vote to start the meeting?
Councilor Ringus?
Here.
Councilor Mackin is not present this evening. Councilor Ryan?
Here.
Thank you.
Moving on to approval of minutes. The last time this committee was met was on November 9th of 2020. Meeting minutes have been distributed to the members of the Committee on Public Safety. Councilor Ryan, would you move to approve the minutes of November 9th, 2021 or 2020? I will second that. The other person here. Clerk Semino, a roll call vote.
Councilor Ringus?
Aye.
Councilor Mackin? Not here this evening. And Councilor Ryan?
Aye.
That's 2 in favor, 1 absent.
It's much easier to do these votes via roll call when you only have 2 people. Moving on to basically the only item that we have on the agenda tonight is old business, and that is 042 Councilor O'Brien. Evacuation procedures are taking up any action relative thereto. I would note that tonight we have from the Braintree Emergency Management Agency, Rob Millett. From the Braintree Police Department, we have Sergeant Brian Eng, who I believe is still the liaison for the compressor station. And from fire, we have Deputy Chief Robert Pistorino, who is the fire department's hazmat officer. The last time we met on this was in November of 2020. This was initially proposed by Councilor O'Brien at the time that he sort of brought this and had it forwarded to the Subcommittee of Public Safety. There had been a few natural gas releases from the Enbridge station, which was causing some issues for the town of Braintree and especially for the residents of District 3 and in the surrounding areas. Some of these releases were happening and the proper notifications weren't going out. I think in the year that's passed, those notifications have sort of been fixed, and we had sort of addressed that at our November 9th meeting. At the time, and I think these 3 individuals were with us, we had sort of discussed what the possible evacuation procedures were, and I know there were some ongoing meetings with Enbridge and the town of Weymouth to kind of follow up on what they were doing as they sort of have a buffer zone with the compressor station as well. We said at some point we would sort of check back in, and here we are sort of just over a year later, sort of kind of seeing what has transpired in the previous 12 months, where we stand and what we sort of still need to do in terms of ensuring that there is sort of proper evacuation protocols in place. So that's kind of where we stand tonight. And I've invited the 3 of you folks here, or you've been voluntold by people within your respective areas to be here with us tonight. So I guess I would start with Sergeant Eng. I know you are the liaison for the compressor station. And when we met about a year ago, there had been some meetings that had taken place. Where do we stand now, and what are what has occurred or what still needs to occur, I guess, from your perspective?
So as far as the police department, I'm the liaison for the police department, but I believe Rob were both at the May 26th meeting that they had over at Weymouth PD in terms of kind of a meeting of department heads and liaison officers from multiple departments and multiple towns. So as far as the compressor station, and you're interested in specifically a evacuation plan?
Yes.
In terms of what the police department's response would be, we handle it like any critical incident response, where patrol officers who are on duty already would respond immediately and begin the evacuation process. It's a bunch of patrol cars just driving through neighborhoods, going over a loudspeaker, telling people they need to leave. That's one thing. At that point, we probably activate a number of other officers, call them in to ensure that the area is clear. When it comes to this kind of thing, we really defer more to the fire department. We're more interested in controlling traffic and making sure people pass through safely. obviously, BEMA and the fire department are more equipped and trained to handle any kind of hazmat response or anything like that. And I actually talked to Director Millette earlier today about future trainings that might be coming up through MEMA for both the police and fire for anything that might be coming up through the compressor station.
All right. Thank you for that update from the police perspective. I think that sort of segues nicely into sort of one of our other attendees tonight, BEMA Director Rob Millette. Could you sort of give us an update on BEMA's take on what's occurring down in East Braintree and what we would look like in terms of evacuation procedures?
So as I had mentioned previously at the last meeting, there was a plan that was submitted to the mayor's office. I have given what work I have to the police department so that they can go over currently, according to the town's comprehensive emergency management plan, there is setups for traffic checkpoints and the like that the police would man, as Sergeant Tang mentioned, in terms of all that to get everybody out and to control traffic coming in. That would actually be a coordinated effort between Quincy, Hingham, Weymouth, and Braintree in terms of keeping traffic from coming in this direction. Obviously, we'd want to keep everyone away from the bridge area. So I know a lot of people have talked about a couple years ago when the bridge broke and how bad traffic got in the landing area. That's actually a really bad example, simply because that traffic won't be allowed into the landing area. That area will be, starting its evacuation, so East Braintree wouldn't go through there. The way we have things set up is that we basically duplicated what Weymouth had. Weymouth has a 1 mile area where they have an immediate evacuation for any severe issues at the compressor station, should that be determined by Weymouth Fire, that they would evacuate immediately. Their area is very pretty. Their 1 mile line lines up really well with North Street, so they can just say evacuate everything west of this. Ours does not line up so well. It runs basically in a little curved line from the Quincy Street area at the Citgo plant over to the middle of Smith Beach. So, you're looking at the East Braintree neighborhood there being split, where if we were to do the 1 mile exactly like what Weymouth is trying to do, we'd be telling, one neighbor on Argyle, you're within the 1 mile, you're going, and we'd be telling their neighbor next door, you're not, you stay put. Obviously, no one's going to be happy with that. So what we did propose was that everything north and east of Quincy Ave would be evacuated. That would also solve the problem of having anyone outdoor at Watson Park in the event that an issue happens. And then Weymouth has secondary areas that should the plume travel in that direction, they would also evacuate those particular areas. They wouldn't necessarily evacuate all three. They have a very large area of span to cover. We don't. So what I proposed is that we would then push the evacuation area back to Shaw. And then should an incident occur in Braintree, either at Beld, Citgo, any of the places down there, which having spoken with the owners of those operations, they're not concerned about something happening. But should that happen, we are prepared to go even further. Obviously, our job is to plan for the worst case scenario, not, to sit back and hope for the best. Like I said, that has been transferred to PD so that they can take a look at that, figure out what traffic checkpoints from the current comprehensive emergency management plan they'd want. And then from there, we can work on getting approval at the LEPC level, the mayor's office, the fire department, whatever other departments would need to sign off on such a plan to get that put into place. But as Sergeant Eng said, we're looking through MEMA. It's actually Weymouth that's driving it because they have the compressor station inside. There is a grant that the state has to apply for that would get the police and fire department training in pipelines, which would be applicable to the compressor station, that we'll have out within the next month to be sent in, and we're going for that money.
Okay. Well, thank you for that update, and thank you for the work that you put into sort of your proposal. I will kind of hold questions to the end. I'm sure Councilor Ryan may have a few. I have a couple, I know, but I think I'll hear from everyone first, and then we'll sort of circle back. I'm sorry, Deputy Chief Pistorino, from
It's
the,
Captain. Obi will be, the chief would be upset if you guys promote me at the Zoom meeting, but Captain Pistorino.
if you give us good news, we'll just make it happen. Let them know.
All right. But as far as the fire department, we
motion
haven't heard
to
anything. The May meeting Sergeant Eng referred to, I wasn't at. I don't know if Chief O'Brien was there, but I wasn't at that meeting. And I did go to a training with Enbridge last November, but we really don't have anything new from the fire department as far as evacuation plans or anything like that. I know the chief is still waiting to see one. I think he said the one he's seen is a couple of years old.
Okay. All
I
right.
don't know if that's Weymouth or Enbridge specific or, but we're waiting to hear and set up some training. Enbridge, I thought we'd have more from them by now because, like I said, it's been a year since we were down there, and we should be having some training on what's going on.
Okay. So with that said, I would first turn to Counselor Ryan to see if he has any questions. I do have a couple, and I do note we have someone who is in attendance as well. It's Clerk Semino. I'll talk to you about that in a second. But Counselor Ryan, do you have any questions for any of the attendees tonight?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Councilor Mingus. So I guess we haven't seen this plan, and I'm wondering when we're going to see the plan.
Director Millett?
Geared towards me here. From my perspective, there's, for me, kind of a lot of confusion as to where things are going back and forth. Under the previous director, Robert James, everything for BEMA ran through the mayor's office and Mayor Sullivan. So that was the direction everything went. Anything he had would end up with Chief of Staff Reynolds or the mayor himself, and that was how we did everything. Mayor Kokoris elected to kind of shift BEMA over so that we were more under the control of the police department, which makes perfect sense to me since that's the agency that we kind of liaise with the most. So we're working and trying to get everything in. I submitted this plan up to the mayor's office because that's how I need to go about it. And now I did share, like I said, I shared that information with the police chief, the two deputy chiefs over there, both Deputy Chief Want and Deputy Chief Cahoon. I have not heard back from them on it yet. So I don't know exactly what they're doing with it or where it's being shared to. But, you know, unfortunately, I don't know, you know, who then shares what I give in terms of where it goes. So I do not have an answer as to how long it will take before it reaches you guys.
Through the chair. So I guess I need a copy of this plan. So I'm formally making a request for a copy of this plan to see this. I know we're talking about it tonight. Thank you for everybody being in attendance and giving us the update. But for us to make informed decisions, which I guess we would want to take a vote on this and take a stand on this, I need to make an informed decision. So I need to see the plan. And I know Councilor-elect Maglio would want to see the plan too. So as well as all of us. So I'm making a formal request right now for that. Thank you.
And Clerk Semino, based on that, would that be something that you can, I think the mayor's office would have Director Millett's plan and they'd be the best person to go through. So can we make that request to the mayor's office?
Yes, we will do that.
Thank you. Councilor Ryan, anything further at this time?
Just to say, you know, we've been opposed to the compressor station. The council, the town of Braintree has been opposed. We've worked against the station, and I just want to see us continue to do whatever we can to A, oppose the station, and B, make sure things are as safe as possible down there. So that's all. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Ryan. Before I offer my comments or questions, I did note that in our attendees, we had newly elected District 3 Councilor Elizabeth Maglio. Ms. Maglio has been very involved in East Braintree and District 3 and specifically on the compressor station issue. So I noticed you had a couple questions coming through in the chat, but rather than me read them, I figured we would welcome you, somewhat unofficially, I guess, and open this up to some public comment, which would just be you. congratulations, Ms. Maglio. And I know you had a couple questions, so if you'd want to pose them to the chair, I'm well open to that.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So I was just, what I put in the chat was probably one of the things that is most significant is that if the folks up and down Quincy Ave who have, clean harbors and the Citgo tanks and all of that, the fact that they're not concerned about an incident should probably make us more concerned because their plan they'll just shut down if there's a problem. Well, that's not really much of a plan. And so I think that one of the key issues is that everybody give this the attention that it needs. And the other piece of this is that in terms of a plan and in terms of emergency evacuation, if there's an issue that it's not just a leak, but there's an actual explosion, I mean, we're talking about like flying, burning embers. We're talking about potentially, I mean, I can see the bridge from where I'm sitting right now through some trees across a little bit of water. Like, we're probably going to be incinerated. This isn't going to be an issue of just lining up and driving out a certain way. And there's no way police cars are going to be able to come through and ask for people to evacuate. So to me, I think there's an immediate serious need to go much deeper in what we would do to prevent major catastrophic death should there be another incident. So not an incident, but another incident. We're up to, I believe, 7 so far. And I think we need immediate action on it.
Thank you. Elizabeth, did you have, I know, obviously great commentary, and obviously you are very well versed in this issue. I know it's something that you've made a passion, for lack of a better word, of yours, and I appreciate the work that you've done on behalf of District 3. Any specific questions that you had at this point, or is this more just kind of let's see what this proposal holds and then let's dig into it?
So I'm not sure what proposal you're talking about.
So at this juncture, and you make a valid point, because I think myself and Councilor Ryan sit in the same boat. There has been a sort of evacuation procedure proposal that Director Millett has placed together. That has been, at this point, according to Director Millett, forwarded to the mayor's office, and will take some input from both the police department and the fire department. Councilor Ryan just made a formal request that we be able to see that as it stands currently, which Clerk Semino will forward to the mayor's office. So that would, I think, at least give us some indication of what exactly this evacuation procedures are going to look like. And I think that's a great first step. And then obviously getting it implemented and seeing where it stands. So that, and I think you will be an integral part of that in about 2.5 weeks. So I think that's where we stand at this juncture.
Okay, and so if there's something that I would like to specifically see in the proposal, it would be public education, the town taking on some of the public education for emergency preparedness. I would want to see general information about explosion safety and what people do. Like, there are so many different types of incidents that could happen. Like, I think that for people that are in their homes, like that we should even have some sort of a grading system, or how, I don't know how this gets classified within public safety agencies. But I would love to learn more about that, and I'm sure residents would too.
Thank you, Ms. Maglio, or Councilor-elect Maglio. Director Millett, I saw you nodding your head a little bit on the public information piece. Is that something that would be sort of included within the proposal as it currently stands?
I think that would have to be 2 separate things. You would want the evacuation plan to be a standalone evacuation, so that can go into through the LEPC and then into the town's comprehensive emergency management plan as it is. We generally don't have public education outreach. You know, I know like the fire department does fire safety. That's not in the CEMP. and things like that. So that's generally not a place where we put that. So you'd want two standalone things. But I do absolutely agree with Councilor-elect Maglio that we need to have some kind of public outreach in terms of, the pipeline that feeds the compressor station goes through East Braintree. I've surprised people when they found out, oh, wait, there's a pipeline on such and such a road. Well, yes, there is. There is signage, but I don't view that signage that's there as anything I'd notice just walking down the street if I were to see, some kind of issue with a pipeline in the street. There's areas in town where, I've gone and I've followed the pipeline's route. I wanted to see where it ran. I wanted to see what it was. But there are areas where I was on one of the roads, I couldn't find it. I was trying to find there's those yellow pipes that come out that have the ventilation systems to it so that they can vent out and they have the emergency information number. And it took me 2 days, but I finally located it because it was 70 feet off the road in somebody's backyard. So, if I'm out on the street and I see an issue, am I going to go into someone's yard and walk all the way back to the woods to find this sign? No, I'm not. But, that's something we've been looking at and trying to get, people educated about in terms of that as well. So, yeah, no, I think education, particularly for East Braintree, getting that kind of outreach. I know Citgo used to do an open house where they would have people come in. That got done away with because of COVID. But when I met with them, they expressed an interest in allowing that to resume as soon as it was safe to do so. I don't know if Beld has ever done anything like that before or if they would be interested in doing it. I know there is a thing called the Community Emergency Response Team, the CERT program, where usually neighborhood personnel are at least given some training in emergency preparedness. She mentioned search and rescue. There is first aid, though not typically for burning toxic sewage and gas. But I guess treatment for burns is at least treatment for burns in some cases. In any of that we could absolutely look into. There's plenty of options, but I do agree that there needs to be an education campaign surrounding, an all hazards approach, not necessarily looking just specifically at the compressor station, but being able to, get people educated on what hazards there are in Braintree and, what they should be looking for.
Thank you very much, Director Millette. I have noticed that Councillor Ryan has raised his hand. Councillor Ryan, did you have further comments?
Thank you, Councilor Mingus. I guess, you could have an attachment to the evacuation plan that references public education. But Council Maglio brought up a lot of good points. And I think we need to get the plan because it's hard to guess what's in there unless we have a copy of it. And if we can get a plan of that, I think we should get it as soon as possible. And I'm sure that Elizabeth's going to go through it with a fine tooth comb, and I'm definitely going to go through it as well. But I think it's important to get something out there to people as quick as possible. And sometimes perfection is the enemy of good. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but we should get it out there so people know what to do. And it could be a living document where there's different versions of it and we can update it and, make it better. So I think we should get something out there as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ryan. Director Millette, about how long ago did you turn that over to the mayor's office? Was it turned over to the previous administration, or is it something that has just sort of been finished up?
No, it wasn't to the previous administration. I believe it had been turned in right around a year ago at the last meeting, because I know the minutes had mentioned, that we had discussed that. I know, it was looked over in there. I think they thought that I was sharing it with other organizations and other departments when I was really looking at them going, okay, when do I get this back? So like I said, there's a little bit of confusion in converting BEMA from a specific mayor's office agency that goes through them and, being part of the or police department's regimen of how things are going. And, that's not exactly going smoothly in terms of just trying to figure everything out, as to where I should be reporting and who I should be reporting to for each individual item. There have been different things where I've gone to different departments, but I think once we smooth these kinks out and kind of get that straightened out, we should be good. Like I said, I have submitted what I have, lists of streets. I'm not very good at graphically creating maps online and working with that. So I could certainly use some assistance in putting something like that together, and hopefully the police department has some expertise in that regard. But, you know, in getting everything together, I have sent that over there so that they can start compiling, you know, where they would want to do their checkpoints. Like I said, the CEMP has them. I just don't know if they want to add any specific ones for this plan. And it's not my position to be telling the police department how to handle traffic. They're the experts on that, and I want to let them do it.
Thank you, Director Millett. And I want to first thank the three of you folks for being here tonight. Councilor Maglio, thank you for being here tonight as well. And I think, Director Millett, you sort of hit the nail on the head that this is obviously an issue that is of tantamount importance to the residents of District 3 in East Braintree, and also, you know, to the town as a whole. But like you said, it is going to be a plan that incorporates a lot of different folks and a lot of different departments, fire and police and your own agency among them. But BELD will be involved. There are going to be other departments involved, and obviously the mutual aid that might be needed too. So I think it is going to be a very comprehensive plan, and does have a lot of moving parts. And like you said, that do need to be smoothed over. I look forward to seeing what this proposal is, just to give us as counselors here on public safety and as a whole, at least a little bit of indication of where things stand, because it is something that we do want to get moving forward and set as soon as possible. And I think, like Councilor Ryan said, it may not be perfect, but I think having at least something on the books is better than having nothing on the books. So it is something I want us to be able to see and move forward on. I'd also like to hear from the mayor's office on kind of where they stand and sort of helping to bring all these folks together. Because I think ultimately we do need sort of that one central person that can bring these agencies together, and that might indeed be through the mayor's office. So I think what I would like to do, at least tonight, and obviously Councilor Mackin couldn't be here tonight. We are having a changeover in the council come January 3rd, with some new folks joining us and some folks exiting. So some of our subcommittees will be reformulated, changed. Different folks can sit on them, or maybe some of the same will stay on certain committees. So I think what I would like to see is us schedule a meeting out probably about a month out. But before we get that meeting on the books, I'd like to see that Clerk Semino make a sort of a request to the mayor's office that we do get that proposal and see what their schedule is like, because I'd love to have all three folks back before us, having seen the proposal and see where the mayor's office stands in terms of what next steps are and what they're doing to ensure that this gets moved forward.
Councilor Ringus.
Councilor Ryan.
Okay, I want to ask, Sue, would it be appropriate for us to make a motion on the subcommittee level requesting a copy of the plan for the full council, or is that required?
No, I don't think that's necessary.
Okay, thank you.
And Clerk Semino, can you just CC me on the correspondence to the mayor's office, and I'll ensure that the members of the Public Safety Committee get that as well.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. With that said, I see Director Millett made a little hand motion. Was that a hand?
Yeah,
raise?
actually, if I may, real quick, there was just something I wanted to it just popped in my mind. I did receive an email after the last LEPC meeting, which is where the fact of the plan was here, kind of got out, that asked some questions. And I've been trying to get some other answers too, that required answers from Weymouth. So I haven't ignored it, but I'm trying to follow up with it as best I can. But one of the answers I did get on that, in pertaining to our evacuation plan, as I mentioned before, was an answer from Weymouth as to what they were doing. So, we know Weymouth is evacuating towards the landing. They're coming down Church Street. They're coming down Commercial Street. I was able to get from Weymouth's Emergency Management Director, John Mulvihill, that they are directing all traffic towards Weymouth High School. That is the Red Cross regional shelter for the area. So traffic should be coming down Commercial Street and then turning left down 53 towards 18. It should not be coming in towards Braintree, which means we should have full use of Commercial Street and Union Street for any evacuation routes that we have. They should not be using it. He can't promise me that someone won't go that way and then decide, I'm not going to the shelter, I'm going to so-and-so's over in Worcester. So I would suggest we do try to block that off, Sergeant, in the event that we're creating checkpoints for that area. But, you know, they should not be using it. So we should have full access to both that and the Hayward, Hancock, Elm Street corridor as well.
Thank you, Director Millett. Anything further to add tonight, Director Millett?
No, that's all I've got.
Thank you so much. I almost promoted you again, Captain Pistorino. Anything else to add tonight?
Nope, just if we can get with Weymouth to get some training. That's at
And
the chief level, though. I know the chiefs can get together on that and try to get some training. I was under the impression when we had that meeting with Enbridge last year that it was forthcoming, but I haven't heard anything.
Okay. And that's something we can hopefully follow up to if we do get the mayor's office to the next meeting to sort of see where that stands, because obviously he can perhaps create some cohesiveness between the two towns as well, and perhaps speak to the mayor of Weymouth as well. So thank you. Sergeant Eng, anything on your end that you'd like to add, or did we basically cover it? Oh, Sergeant Eng might, he might have been frozen, I think. Well, Sergeant Eng, could you hear me that time? Or were we frozen?
Oh, yeah, I just came in.
No problem.
So I'm sorry, what was the last question?
Last question was was there anything else further you wanted to add tonight, or?
No, I think I'm going to do a little bit more research as far as the plan that Director Millett sent over and any revisions that might come up from our traffic division. I'll bring up in the next meeting.
All right. Appreciate that, Sergeant. Councilor Ryan, your hand is still raised. I don't know if that was from before or if it's a new raise.
No, I just wanted to say thank you to Mr. Millett, and I also wanted to thank Bob Pistorino and Brian Eng for being here tonight, two of Braintree's finest, and thank you for their involvement in being at the meeting tonight. And I'll make a motion to adjourn whenever you're ready, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Ryan. Clerk Semino, from a protocol perspective, should we table 042?
Yes.
Councilor Ryan, before we adjourn, could I have a motion to table old business 042, Councilor O'Brien evacuation procedures?
So moved.
And as the only other person here, I will second that. Clerk Semino, can we have a roll call vote?
Counselor Ringus,
Aye.
Counselor Ryan,
Aye.
that's 2 in favor, 2 table.
And that is unanimous. We will do some follow-up and sort of schedule a meeting in the near future after the new year. And with that said,
Motion to adjourn.
thank you, Councilor Ryan. I will second that. Clerk Semino, roll call vote.
Counselor Ringus,
Aye.
Counselor Ryan,
Aye.
all in favor to adjourn.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you so much.
Thank you.